In other very big news this morning, House Republicans are huddling right now. They're trying to figure out the next step after Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy literally stunned his congressional colleagues midday yesterday by dropping out of the race for House Speaker.
We're servants. We should put this conference first. And I think there's something to be said for us to unite. We probably need a fresh face.
Now all eyes are on that fresh face that you see on your screen. Republicans launching a full court press to get the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee to put his name on that list. Paul Ryan, of course, but it could be a non-starter. He has said time and time again, thanks, but no thanks. That leaves Representatives Daniel Webster and Jason Chaffetz as the only two candidates who are vying for the top job right now and looking to get rid of the uncertainty that is engulfing the GOP.
I think we have a lot of internal fracturing that's happened, and we need to figure out a way to unite the party. That's what Kevin McCarthy wants to do. It's what I want to do, and I think that's what John Boehner wants to do.
In most legislative bodies, it's power-driven. Few people at the top of a pyramid of power make all the decisions. I want to push that down, spread it out, so every member gets to be a part and have an opportunity to be successsul.
Let's bring in Steve Hayes, senior writer for the Weekly Standard and a Fox News contributor. Steve, good to have you with us today.
Morning, Martha.
What do you make of it? I mean, how big a deal is this? And is it, as some say, a real make-or-break moment for the GOP?
Well, I think it's a pretty big deal. Anytime you have this kind of chaos on public display, when you have members of Congress saying, I have no idea what comes next, I think it's a big deal, and people are going to be paying attention. Having said that, you seem to sense in talking to members of Congress that there's sort of a third group emerging. I mean, you've had long discussions of this leadership side versus the insurgent side, the House Freedom Caucus side. But the more you talk to people, the more you realize that there's a lot of groups who's neither satisfied with the way that leadership has handled the House over the past several years, and also isn't ready to sort of run off with the Freedom Caucus types. And the question is whether that group can really coalesce and emerge with a new voice or a new spokesman, perhaps somebody like a Paul Ryan.
What do you think about Paul Ryan? I mean, he has said he doesn't want to do it, which is interesting, given the fact that he wanted to be vice president of the United States just a few years ago.
I think the problem for Paul Ryan is that he's sort of the quintessential Midwestern guy, and he's incapable of telling lies badly. So, he's asked about this. He puts out a statement. He says he doesn't want to do it. I believe that he doesn't want to do it, but I don't believe that he's ruled it out. I think he's had conversations with members over the past past 24 hours where he's talked about a path to getting to a temporary job, perhaps, and he wouldn't be doing it to feather his own cap. He wouldn't be doing it because he's necessarily ambitious. He would be doing it because they've prevailed upon him with a call to patriotism, a call to help save the Republican Party. I think that's the way that Paul Ryan is looking at this right now. I think he slept on it last night. I think they're discussing it this morning, but I don't think he's ruled it out.
I mean, I think it's fascinating to watch this play out, and everybody knows that this is a different job. The speaker job is a very different job than the one Paul Ryan has right now. He loves numbers. He loves to be someone who can make a difference on the Ways and Means Committee. And maybe he's keeping his powder dry because he wants to run for president down the road, and he doesn't want to, potentially mess that up by becoming Speaker of the House, Steve.
Yes, I would actually say that the calculus on the presidential question is exactly the opposite of what many people in Washington are saying these days. I don't think Paul Ryan wants to run for president. If he had wanted to run for president, he could have done so this time. He chose not to. He didn't want to run in 2012. He's been pretty consistent about that. I don't think he has much presidential ambition. I genuinely believe that the guy likes being House Ways and Means Committee chair, that eventually, if he were to serve in an administration, he'd love to serve as a Treasury Secretary or something along those lines. But I don't think that running for president, that he would make decisions now based on future ambitions of running for president. In fact, you could make an argument that if this were to make a presidential bid less likely for Paul Ryan, that would be an argument for him in favor of doing it right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Really interesting. Good stuff. Thank you, Steve. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Martha.
It's revealing that John Boehner was on the telephone yesterday to Paul Ryan. Not once, but twice, and apparently lengthy conversations. So one wonders whether that will come to fruition.
He's a very well-liked guy on Capitol Hill, and as Steve was just saying, he's somebody that is seen as, doing it for the right reasons, that he really cares about what's going on. He cares about the future. He cares about tax reform. He cares about all of these issues. But the speaker job is such a political one.
Yeah.
It's such a job where people have to literally arm wrestle people into the room and bring them together. Obviously, it's been difficult toward the end for John Boehner, and but he may be the person who needs to rise to this occasion and take over that job, according to a lot of people that are speaking out on this morning. So
Ryan said it's a good job for an empty nester, and he is not, which reveals all. Donald Trump saying this all may lead back to him. Gee, what a surprise. Trump taking credit for Kevin McCarthy dropping out of the race for House Speaker. Here he is on the campaign trail.
They're giving me a lot of credit for that because I said you really need somebody very, very tough and very smart. Smart goes with tough, not just tough. I know tough people, they're not smart.
I would say that the House Republican leadership is in chaos. How do you lose in 2016, screw up in 2015?
Well, I thought it was an incredibly magnanimous thing for him to move off to the side for the sake of the party. And you don't see very much of that self-sacrificing in Washington these days.
Washington seems so removed to everyday life. It's just, they talk about things they talk in language with all the acronyms and stuff that doesn't make any sense. They just don't seem to be relevant to people right now.
Former presidential candidate Scott Walker also saying that Paul Ryan is the man for the job. He tweeted this: Paul Ryan went to Washington to do something great, not to be something great. That's why he'd make a fine Speaker of the House.
So we've got much more to come on this fast-moving story this morning. We'll speak with one of the lawmakers who's running for Speaker. Republican Congressman Daniel Webster will introduce himself to you and tell you why he wants to be the Speaker of the House. All that coming up next hour on America's Newsroom.